Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my I Love Learning podcast. I am streaming live today from the Special Rigors Association conference with all the leaders in the industry who are moving the world forward with super duty moves. It's pretty amazing to learn here. And if you know anything about my podcast, this season is all about the power of small, where we know little things make a big difference. And I'm Dr. Gina Anderson, and I'm a learning scientist and CEO of Luma Brighter Learning. And I believe that small actions can spark extraordinary change. And if you're someone who believes that growth doesn't have to be overwhelming, it just starts with one step forward, then this show is for you. So every week so far this year, I've explored how tiny shifts in our mindset, daily habits, or our learning moments can lead to massive transformation in our work, in our relationships, and in our life. And I know these tiny shifts in our learning are why I created one of the reasons why I created Luma Brighter Learning and its connected learning platform to really improve safety cultures. Because as Dr. Rooney, who's going to be our guest and going to come on here, just shared recently, there was an incident in South Carolina, and we know that it only takes a fraction of a second for a distracted mind to cause change for our life forever. So I am so excited today to welcome my guest, Dr. Emily Rooney. She is an assistant professor in the psychology department of the Citadel. And I was so happy to bring her on my show today because she is really focused on how powerful our brains are for really helping us move forward. And she'll tell you all about it. I'll actually ask her to actually share, but she's really focusing on helping students move their minds forward when they're struggling. So thank you so much, Dr. Rooney, for being with me here today. Can you just share a little bit with our listeners about who you are and what you're passionate about and really what drives you at the Citadel to do the work that you do?
Well, thank you, Dr. Anderson, and please call me Emily. And first of all, I just love what you're doing. Thanks for having me on this podcast and for the work that you're doing, especially around mental health and mental health awareness. And I truly believe, too, that small things have a huge impact. So fortunately, I get to see those small changes every day, being an assistant professor in the psychology department and training our future clinicians in the clinical counseling program. You see these small shifts and these small changes happening every day that have big impact. So skills that these students learn in clinical counseling and how some of those small active listening skills can really transform a patient or a client's life and just feeling heard and understood. So I'm a firm believer in that those small things can have a big impact.
I love that. What do you think, in terms of your work, has been one of the most maybe profound learning moments that you've had to really uncover that this is an area that you want to focus in? Because I know that, recently, for example, just in October, there was that young student who actually took his life on the Ravenel Bridge in Charleston. And I run it like all the time, and I'm always seeing flowers and pictures and just memorials to this. But I know that, this is a passion of yours, is to help. So was it something that, where did this passion come from for you?
Yeah, so the passion comes from just training and being around others that are passionate about this work. But first and foremost, knowing that what the clinical counseling work that we do, the therapy that's provided, that's out there, can help individuals that feel like that they're in a space where they feel like the only option is to take their life. Was really sad to hear about that College of Charleston student. And it's not a issue that is totally exclusive to one particular area. This affects a lot of people. Thoughts about death or wanting to die. So that's my area of specialty, is suicide prevention and also trauma. And so that's a piece that I hope to bring here to the Citadel, is that suicide prevention piece, knowing that it disproportionately affects college students. They're at the age where they're kind of dealing with these heightened mental health issues, and they're under the stress of academics and also the stress of life transition. So there's all these other added features. Much less talk about the Citadel, where if people aren't familiar with the Citadel, it's a military college, and undergrads, the cadets, go through military training and drills, and they live here on campus, and it's a stressful environment. It's a very structured environment. So those pieces combined, and I think the piece for me, knowing that evidence-based practice, right? Therapy supported by research has positive outcomes and can, not saying this hyperbolically, it can save lives. So that's what drives me every day. And that's what drives me in this program and mentoring and teaching these students.
I love that. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your time. I'm so glad that there are individuals like yourself that focus on mental health and our mind daily, because it does matter. And, I started this podcast in 2023 because I had a driver reach out to me, and I had several drivers, truck drivers, because that's where I focus my time, and saying that, they've lost their passion for learning, and in turn, like maybe even lost their passion, to move forward. And, when in your work and I know this is like a more complex question than just a single answer, but if someone called you on campus and said that to you, what like recommendations would you have for them, or what strategy would you recommend hearing that on the other end of the phone?
So if I heard that, my first thought would be, oh, burnout, compassion fatigue, and it happens to a lot of us, especially when we pour a lot into our work. But if setting that piece aside, the thing that helps for me is getting outside of my field. So doing something that's completely unrelated to psychology, visiting another colleague who teaches another subject, going to talks that we have on campus that are completely outside of my field. It provides some space outside of my bubble, and sometimes can ignite that spark again for me, of something that I might be able to take back to my field, and that might bring me a little bit more motivation and drive in my field. So I always try and like the multidisciplinary approach, and being curious about other fields and professions, like the work that you're doing, right? I love learning about what other people are doing in their fields, and especially when they're passionate about it, it fuels me and kind of pours into me.
Oh, I love that. I think people like are just maybe sometimes focused just like in their immediate environment, but just getting up and doing something maybe outside of the box that you might not even thought about. Like, I don't know, like you said, go listen to a talk, go hear, maybe there's a band playing that you might not really have ever thought about understanding the music. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to engage. Maybe it's going to a different store and saying hello to the person at the front door, right? There could be some small things that we do to really help people move forward. What drives you to keeps you happy? What do you think for you? Because your work is so intense. Like, you're talking about helping people with their mind daily and teaching people how to help people with that daily. So how do you help yourself to continue to be happy?
Being around people, so I know myself pretty well at this point. Being in this field requires a lot of self-reflection, and being around people and collaboration for me is what keeps me sustainable, keeps this job sustainable. So team environments are super important. I have such a supportive faculty here, and then outside the department, we have a supportive campus community, and seeing knowing that if I'm struggling or I need help with something, there's someone that can help me. So being around people, being around a supportive team makes all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything alone, right?
No.
I think about that a lot. Last week, I had somebody on my podcast that used to be, well, he's still involved in trucking, but he transitioned from trucking to being really focused on physical health and mental health. And he does ultra marathons, and he's very active. His name is Michael Lombard, and he's focused on truck parking, because that is a stressful issue. I witnessed this week these huge super loads don't have anywhere to park. I mean, it's stressful. He
Mm-hmm.
was really interested that you were going to be on this week, and he wanted to know. He had a really good question. I'm going to read it. He wanted to know if there was ever a time you found out something that was true, but
Mm-hmm.
then people maybe didn't agree with it. Like, and I think as a researcher, this comes up a lot because I deal with this as a learning scientist. It's like, okay, you can't multitask, and people are like, no, I can. It's like I can multitask. It's like,
Yeah.
well, what do you think? And then he said, what do you do to like help people move that mindset or change that?
Mm-hmm. So I guess so. What something that I've discovered that's truth that others disagree with. I mean, that comes up unfortunately a lot in mental health, right? So
Yeah.
when I think about that, I think
Oh,
about stigma, right, and stigma
yeah.
with mental health, and that for a lot of people, there's a groups of people that believe that mental health is a choice,
Mm,
and mental
mm,
illness is a choice. And by and large, yes, that we have certain choices within how we deal with certain struggles that we have. But I think that's the stigma around mental health, particularly that is
mm,
something that comes up a lot. And
mm,
the best thing that I can do with that is continue to make the work that we do translational. So how do we get
mm,
the truth out there in a way that's digestible to people? And I think
mhm.
what a big part of teaching clinical counseling students is that experiential piece. Once people
Mhm,
experience it firsthand or see it
mhm,
in action or hear that personal story and
mhm,
see that, oh, this is actually not true. This is not what I thought it was.
mhm,
That's powerful. That's powerful
mhm,
learning.
mhm. Yeah, they never forget. It probably created a neural synapse because it was relevant and meaningful to them that,
Yeah.
they never will forget that. I really appreciate
Hmm.
that. So next week, I do this thing on my show where you ask a
Hmm.
question of my future guest. So Pete Bombassi is coming on my show. And he is involved in this open wells project. And I don't know if you checked it out, but it's pretty
Hmm.
impactful in terms of wellness and really trying to help people live a better life. What do you think we should ask him next week?
Well, something my students know about me is I'm all about curiosity and exploring. So I'm always curious about what ignites someone's curiosity and what stifles it.
Okay, I love
Mm.
that. What do you think? I don't know. I think about for me, I've always been curious about our human mind. I don't know
Mhm.
why. Like I reflect on that. Like why am I so like geeked out about understanding our brains? It's kind of I don't know, but it came from somewhere. It must have been when I was little, but it's just
But
interesting.
leaning into that is good, right? Like, you for whatever reason that ignites your curiosity. So it's good when you can lean into that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. Where do you see yourself, like, where do you see your impact or yourself, like, maybe 3 years from now? Where do you want your
Mm.
impact to be at the Citadel and in your
Mhm.
work?
Mhm. Well,
Mhm.
first of all, when I think about my impact, I think about the impact of the team here at the Citadel and the psychology department at large, because as you said, we don't do these things alone. You can, but it's very difficult, and you're not going to make the impact that you probably want. So I do
Right.
this with a lot of support. My hope is that in 3 years, we have the
Mhm.
saying at the Citadel that it takes 4 years to start a tradition. So in 3 years, I hope to be further along in a tradition of my goal is to be a leader in suicide prevention at the Citadel.
Mm.
That we're doing evidence-based prevention efforts here on campus, that we are doing
Mm.
initiatives around that, and that when people think of us and students think about coming here, that they feel supported from a mental health
Mhm.
perspective, and that
Mhm.
they feel like that they know what to do when someone's in crisis. That means faculty members, staff, and students, and they know how to handle it and or where to refer that student or that staff or that faculty member to. I want us to
Wow.
feel confident in that. So I hope to do that in 3 years.
I
That would be great. But that's the goal.
I love that. So, is this research something that we can access, or your work, or where can they learn more about or connect with you? Maybe where can they find this
Hmm.
information, or
Hmm.
because this topic is not just a Citadel issue. This is a global issue.
Yeah.
And I think that people that know you and know your work and know what you're creating is so important.
Yeah, of course. Well, certainly people can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Google Scholar if you want to see some of the research articles I've been a part of. But specifically with the work I'm doing at the Citadel, that's part of the initiative, is to get things out there for the public. So
Mhm.
we are putting a collaborative on in April 1st, a suicide prevention collaborative. And it's just going to
Oh.
be people on campus.
Mhm.
However, we are putting that on our psychology department website at the Citadel under department initiatives. And that's going to
Okay.
start to be our landing page for where we're putting initiatives related to mental health awareness or suicide prevention, things that we are doing in a department to shore up our resources and the impact that we have here on campus. So if you want to
I
see
love
very
that.
specifically what we're doing, you can go to the psychology department website and look at the department initiatives and see what's coming out of there. And you can hold me accountable in 3 years that people
Okay.
are starting to say that we're leaders in suicide prevention.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you so much. What lasting advice do you wanna leave us for the week ahead as we end our podcast and time today together?
I think that don't underestimate the power of connection. And
Mm.
so, relating back to your small acts, that smiling at someone, talking to someone at the register, I don't think people understand how many times I've had a patient or a client tell me the impact that someone just passing by them or interacting with them briefly has. So, do not underestimate the power of connection.
I love that. You heard it from
Mm.
Dr. Rooney. Thank you so much for being with me today. Keep
Thank
shining, keep
you.
inspiring, and keep saving lives, it's what we're about. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that was really impactful. I'm gonna put the link I'm gonna get from Dr. Rooney in the comments. So if you want to learn more about their work at the Citadel and her work specifically, she's a researcher, she's inspiring, and she's changing lives. So join us next week to meet our next guest. And until then, make a connection, do something kind, tell someone today they're a winner because it matters. And you never know whose life you're going to change. So we'll see you later from Alabama. We'll see you next time.